أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وصلى الله على النبي الكريم. Please be seated and remain silent. Be seated and remain silent, please. Your Excellency, the national leader of our great party, the NNPP, and the presidential candidate of the party in the 2023 general election, our mentor, leader, distinguished Senator Rabi Musa Kwankwaso. Your Excellency, the former governor of Cross River State, Excellency Donald Duke, who is also today's special guest of honor, the national chairman of our great party, the NNPP, Dr. Ahmed Ajuji, members of the National and State Executive Council of our great party, the NNPP, distinguished members of the diplomatic corps here present, His Excellency, the Jigawa State gubernatorial candidate of our party in the 2023 election, Alhaji Aminu Ringim, the Secretary to the State Government, Chief of Staff, Commissioners, Special Advisors and Heads of Parastatals Department and Agencies, our interim management officers from the Potipo local government areas, of course, contractors and their representatives here present, and other philanthropists, educational friends, partners and donor agencies, representative of His Highness the Emir of Kano, Alhaji Muhammadu Sanusi Lamido Sanusi II, heads of security agencies here present, gentlemen of the press, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. Today I stand before you with profound sense of duty, compelled by the pressing need to address the precarious state of our education sector. As you are elected governor, entrusted with the solemn responsibility of steering our state towards prosperity and progress, I cannot ignore the glaring reality that confronts us in the realm of education, and with education being our number one priority, and believing that education is not only a public good, but is also the greatest asset that any people can bequeath to its upcoming generation, because no people can grow beyond the quality and standard of their education system. We must therefore take radical but practical measures to reposition education provisioning in our state. It is with a heavy heart that I bring forth this discourse, as the challenges we face in the education sector are as formidable as they are alarming, and the urgency with which we must act is undeniable. Our educational landscape is a beacon of hope and opportunity for our youth, an example for other states to copy. Now regrettably stands shrouded in the shadows of unacceptable neglect and decay. Our beloved state is witnessing an alarming proliferation of out-of-school children, with the current figure standing at 989,234 children of both genders, a situation that threatens to rob the entire generation of their right to education and a brighter future. The statistics are grim, and the faces of the children devoid of the promise of learning haunt us as a collective failure. Our schools, which should be sanctuaries of knowledge, discipline, and growth, are in a deplorable condition. Dilapidated infrastructure is a common sight. Roof caving in, walls crumbling, and classes that can no longer provide a safe and conducive learning environment, just as you saw through the projector. The lack of infrastructural materials further compounds the problem, leaving our teachers and students to struggle with outdated and insufficient resources. Above 4.7 million people are sitting on bare floors to take lessons, while about 400 schools have only one teacher for all the classes, subjects, and all peoples. Rather than building more classrooms and providing basic furniture in the schools, as well as hiring more teachers, the administration we took over from chose to butcher the land belonging to those schools. In some places, demolition classrooms to create spaces for shops. Those schools that they could not sell, they decided to close them down and got them vandalized, as you saw. The encroachment of public schools' lands and the conversion of these vital institutions into private businesses' premises is an affront to our cultural values, direct assault on our commitment to public education. This reckless appropriation of educational spaces for commercial use is unacceptable and must be stopped immediately and by all means within our disposal. The multi-faceted problems we face, one of which is severe shortage of qualified teachers, inadequate teachers training programs, and lack of basic amenities such as clean water and sanitation in many of our schools. These issues, coupled with the socio-economic challenges that many of our students face, create an environment where education is not just difficult, but nearly impossible. Ladies and gentlemen, let us embark on a journey of introspection, where we will comprehend the harsh truths that beset our educational infrastructure. Imagine the vast expanse of educational facilities that dotted our landscape. 7,057 primary schools, 1,148 junior secondary schools, 813 senior secondary schools, and 49 science and technical schools. These numbers, while ostensibly impressive, belie the grim reality that lies beneath the surface. Let us delve deeper, and you will discover disheartening statistics. Out of the 42,516 total classrooms available in our basic schools, a mere 22% met the most basic standards of habitability. Let us pause to contemplate the implications of this revelation. Nearly 4 out of every 5 classrooms in our primary and junior secondary schools are marred by dilapidation and disrepair, rendering them unsuitable for the noble pursuit of knowledge. If we ascend the educational ladder to our senior secondary schools, the picture remains bleak. Here, less than 30% of classrooms can be deemed habitable, leaving a significant portion of our students' population to grapple with inadequate facilities that impede their intellectual growth and development. What of our science and technical schools? The bastions of innovation and ingenuity. Unfortunately, the situation here is even more grimmer, with less than 20% of classrooms meeting the most basic criteria for habitability. How can we hope to nurture the next generation of scientists and engineers when the very environment in which they are meant to learn are rife with inadequacies and deficiencies? My fellow compatriots, let us not be swayed by temptation to assign blame solely to this administration. The state of education in Kano has reached a nadir and not a recent phenomenon. Rather, it is the culmination of 8 years of neglect and mismanagement by the previous administration. The neglect was systematically and deliberately affecting every facet of the education system, from infrastructure to curriculum development, and from teacher welfare to students' outcomes. Distinguished compatriots, let us not also dwell much on the failings of the past. Instead, let us look to the future with unwavering resolve and determination, because we have both the political will as a government as well as the massive goodwill of the good people of our state of Kano. Today, I stand before you to announce the formal declaration of state of emergency in the education sector. I could remember during my budget presentation to the Kano State House of Assembly for the 2024 budget, I announced the declaration of this state of emergency, where we earmarked a total of 125 billion 886 million 932.969 kobo. Today is for formalization and testimony of the same. As a state of emergency, as declared today, is an extraordinary legal measure that allows us to take some bold steps to address these critical challenges swiftly and efficiently. It is a call to action for all stakeholders, government, educators, parents, the private sector, as well as the community at large, to unite and prioritize the revitalization of our education system for the overall benefit of our society, believing that as a good education is one of the most effective tools of fighting multidimensional poverty and crimes in our society. A task that we are strongly determined by the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accomplish. The objective of declaring state of emergency on education is encapsulated in our overall vision for the education delivery in the state, as articulated in the following vision statement. Number one, every school, a good school. Every school, a good school. Number two, every child enrolled in school. Number three, every student an engaged learner. Every teacher a caring educator. Every parent a supportive partner. And your government, of course, a committed investor in human capital development. Let me say that this declaration will enable us to mobilize resources, implement urgent reforms, and focus on strategic interventions that will rebuild our educational infrastructure, provide necessary materials, and reclaim our schools from encroachment. It is a decisive and radical step towards ensuring that every child in Kano has access to quality education, which is by extension their fundamental right as citizens, as our children. This declaration is not just symbolic, it signifies the commitment to overhaul our educational system from the ground up. We will invest in infrastructure, ensuring that every school has adequate classrooms conducive for teaching and learning. We will also prioritize teacher training and welfare, recognizing their pivotal role in shaping the minds of tomorrow. As part of our commitment to resurrecting and revitalizing education in the state, I am pleased to announce several initiatives aimed at addressing the pressing challenges facing the education sector in the state. Firstly, we recognize the dire need of substantially increasing budgetary allocation to our educational system. In this regard, I said earlier, use this opportunity to reiterate that our administration has allocated an unprecedented 29.95% of our 2024 budget to education. This decision is based on the realization that only significant allocation of financial resources will address most of the hydra-headed problems afflicting our educational system, largely centered around underfunding. In our bid to revitalize the basic and post-basic education subsectors in the state, I am also delighted to announce the restoration of upkeep and overhead funds for all secondary schools in the state. This injection of funds will enable the schools to maintain their infrastructure by themselves, procure essential teaching and learning materials, and ensure the overall conducive teaching and learning environment that our students deserve. Let me equally seize this opportunity to make it categorically clear to the managements of our schools that our administration will not condone any act of mismanagement of funds allocated to schools. Whoever is found guilty of mismanagement of funds will be subjected to disciplinary processes and be disciplined accordingly. Furthermore, in recognition of the pivotal role of practical education in nurturing innovative minds, I am equally pleased to unveil plans for building an additional 300 state-of-the-art laboratories in 100 schools across the state. Let me say that the provision of these facilities will provide our students with hands-on experience in scientific inquiry, fostering culture of experimentation and discovery that is essential for their future successes. This is in addition to another 300 laboratories that we will comprehensively overhaul in 100 secondary schools across the 44 local government areas. Relatedly, in order to create a more conducive atmosphere for learning, I am also happy to announce that our administration is to construct 1,000 classrooms across the 44 local governments within the next academic session by the grace of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This measure will no doubt mitigate classroom congestion that has become a common feature of most of our schools. We have also directed that all contractors handling inherited abandoned projects in our tertiary institutions should all go back to site immediately and ensure the full completion of all those abandoned projects in the state. I am, moreover, excited to announce the reopening of all the boarding schools that were shut down by the immediate past administration. These schools will be reopened and reboarded within the next academic year. Boarding schools play a crucial role in providing a supportive environment for students, particularly those from remote areas or economically disadvantaged backgrounds. By reopening of these institutions, we are expanding access to quality education and creating opportunities for students to thrive academically and socially. Ladies and gentlemen, Going back to our vision statement, the first of which is every school a good school. Here, we intend to make every public school in the state a good school with decent and standard infrastructure for teaching and learning, as well as adequate, qualified, and well-motivated teachers and other supporting staff. Today, I announce the approval for the comprehensive renovation of all primary and all junior secondary schools in all the 44 local government areas. This renovation will include providing students seats, painting of the dilapidated and renovated buildings, refurbishing the toilets, as well as staff offices. This exercise will be completed in the next 2 academic sessions by the grace of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Let me say that the CRC, Community Reorientation Committee, the Konkosia Lafiya Jari, Kano proper, will all be responsible for handling minor repairs, while the Ministry of Education and SUBEB will shoulder all major repairs through competitive bidding. Ladies and gentlemen, the next statement of our vision is that every child enrolled in school. In essence, this is our expression of commitment to clear all out-of-school children from our streets and get them enrolled in schools. To achieve this, we must first of all provide classroom accommodation to house all the 989,234 out-of-school children in the state. A total of 28,264 classrooms will be built in the next 3 years across the state by the grace of Allah. Again, the Ministry of Education and SUBEB will supervise the issuance of the works through competitive bidding, while the Ministry for Project Monitoring will monitor execution and compliance. The next statement in our vision is that every student and engaged learner here, this requires the provision of modern state-of-the-art teaching support services and tools to keep pupils in schools and attentive in their classrooms. We will commence the distribution also by the grace of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala of 1 meal per people per day in all the primary schools across the state. Meaning we will be feeding primary school children in all our primary schools across the state with 1 meal per day. This will be a joint effort between the state government, the local government, development partners, philanthropists within and outside the state, as well as the host communities. Already, the Community Reorientation Committee, CRC, has been directed to commence preparation and the hiring of cooks for the homegrown school feeding program. We will also reintroduce the distribution of free uniforms to our primary one pupils that will be admitted within the next session. Today, as part of the emergency declaration, we will distribute textbooks, exercise books, chalk, and whiteboards to so many of these schools. Ladies and gentlemen, let me at this point seize this opportunity to thank the wife of the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, who is also the First Lady, Her Excellency Senator Remi Bola Ahmed Tinubu, CONOON, who on her passion for education decided to send a donation of 110,000 exercise books to Kano State Government for distribution to our public schools. Today, the exercise books are to be distributed to all the schools concerned. Let me equally seize this opportunity to appeal to all other eminent Nigerians to emulate Her Excellency, the First Lady of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, in supporting education. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we intend to also increase and improve the students-teacher ratio in the entire state to mitigate against the recurrence of a situation where more than 400 schools in one senatorial zone have only one teacher for all the classes and for all students, as inherited from the immediate past administration. On this note, we have given the approval to screen and offer full-time jobs to over 5,632 So you can see, even before I announced BESDA, everybody is happy. BESDA teachers whose offers will be given today. We have made an announcement through the MC that at the end of this program, we have directed our commissioners, our special advisors, as well as all other heads of parastatals to wait and to see to it that these BESDA teachers have collected their offers of appointment today. Let me seize this opportunity to thank you immensely for the contributions you have rendered throughout the 1 year. Through the 1 year we have been in office, as your contribution toward the development of education in Kano State. Let me say that we have also, as part of the emergency action, also approved the hiring of additional 10,000 teachers in the state. We have already given the go-ahead to the SUBEB and Ministry of Education to chart out a training roster for all the teachers in the state employment. Teachers will continue to enjoy periodic training and retraining so as to achieve the vision of making every teacher a caring educator. Let me say again that at least 1,000 academic and non-academic staff will be employed in the tertiary institutions within the tenure of this administration by the grace of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Let me report that we have given approval for the immediate commencement of the renovation of the schools that experienced fire outbreaks during the last 8 years, especially in the following local governments. 1, Madobi. Do you know Madobi? Yeah. Do you know who is from Madobi? Yeah. A leader, a compassionate leader who overturned the education sector in the state. The second one there, Ajingi, Iru. Of course, Doakin Topa. Why are we including Doakin Topa? Because we have concern for the welfare of the people of Doakin Topa. Because we believe that the good people of Doakin Topa have been neglected for the last 8 years. Ibanzu, one of them, ruled the state for 8 years, yet nothing of development can be seen in Doakin Topa, especially on human capital development, like the recruitment and welfare of teachers like you. Therefore, we are including Doakin Topa, Kano Municipal, Gezawa, Gwarzo, Ambata, and Bichi. We have also given approval for the refurbishment and commencement of admission into the government Quranic integrated schools in the following local governments: Albasu, Ungogo, Kibia, Kiru, and Nasra local governments. The 44 schools for Islamic studies and 44 technical schools officially conceptualized and started by the administration of His Excellency Distinguished Senator, His Excellency Rabi Musa Konkoso, which were abandoned for 8 years, will all be completed very soon and put into use by the grace of Allah. Let me say that our administration has reintroduced the revolving soft loan for primary school teachers. Revolving soft loan for primary school teachers. To this end, we have given approval for the distribution as loan of 300 million naira soft loan to teachers, and inshallah some of the teachers will receive their checks here today. Now, to reduce the pressure on parents, we already commenced shuttling girl child to and from schools using the Girl Child Buses Initiative. Under this initiative, 70 high-capacity buses are used for this purpose. To improve the services, we shall also dedicate special buses for shuttling of our young students, both men and women, between Kano and Kano University of Science and Technology, Wudil, to support students of the university. My fellow good people of Kano, our government, as a committed investor in human capital development, have invested billions of naira to sponsor first-class graduates to pursue higher degrees in foreign universities. As you are all aware, the first batch of 1,001 laureates are already in the second semester of their studies outside the shore of Nigeria and in different universities across the globe. Added to this, we also paid for the registration of all Kano State students studying at Bayero University, Kano, last session. And as a one-off compassionate intervention, we equally supported Kano State students studying in Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria, Abubakar Tafawa Balewa University, Bauchi, Federal University, Dutse, Usman Podio University, Sokoto, Federal University, Gusau, University of Maiduguri, Federal University, Dusima, Federal College of Education, Technical Bichi, Federal College of Education, Kano, Federal University, Kashiri, Gombe State University, Gombe. You may recall that during the first and second tenure of His Excellency, the distinguished Senator Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso, some private universities were selected across the country where we sponsored some of our students, indigenous of the state, for first degree courses. Although these students graduated with good results, the immediate past administration refused to settle all their tuition fees and therefore left them for 4 years without being able to participate in the 1-year mandatory youth service scheme. I am happy to say and to offer gratitude to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that this administration have settled all the tuition fees, and today these graduates will collect their certificates here at this arena. These universities include Bells University in Ota, Crescent University in Abeokuta, Apti University in Nyola, Evenidian University, Okada, and Al-Qalam University in Katsina. We have also approved the renovation and growth of our bilingual academies, both French and Chinese, in Kwankwaso town of Madobe local government area, Maradi, and Niamey, all in Niger Republic. Last year, when we took over, we discovered with nostalgia that students who sat for NBAIS examination from 21 to 2023 could not access the results because of the failure of the previous administration to pay the relevant agency what was due to them. Let me say that we met a backlog of liability of examination fee to the tune of over 1.3 billion naira, which we also paid immediately and got Kano State students registered for the 2023 NECO and NBAIS examinations. I can say Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin. This year, ladies and gentlemen, our administration has equally approved for the payment of NECO and NBAIS registration fees to the tune of over 2.9 billion naira for 121,597 students that have 4 credits and above in their qualifying examination in our public schools. After the completion of our projects arising from this declaration of state of emergency, we are confident that all the 6 vision statements will have been achieved, inshallah. The consequence of which is that parents will be confident of our school system, that they will be rushing to transfer their children from private schools to public schools, because the quality and standard will be much better in public schools than in the private ones, by the grace of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Distinguished invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, let me conclude by reminding us that the responsibility of improving our educational sector does not rest solely with the government. It is a collective responsibility requiring cooperation of the parents, communities, and other stakeholders in the education sector. Let me quote what the late Nelson Mandela famously proclaimed. He said, "Education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world." We are going to use education to change the bad perception in the educational sector of Kano State. Let us unleash this weapon with wisdom and foresight for the betterment of our beloved state and the generations yet to come. Together, I believe we can revitalize our schools and pave way for a prosperous future for our dear state. At this point, on this occasion, let me recognize and appreciate all the organizations, institutions, and individuals that have, in one way or the other, extended their hands of support to the education delivery in the state. Specifically, we want to recognize our development partners, the United Nations, the World Bank, the UNICEF, the African Development Bank, the FCDO, UNESCO, USAID, and of course, the contributions of His Excellency, the Consul General of the Saudi Arabian government in Kano State. The Saudi authorities have been given immense contributions towards not only the development of education, but in all other sectors of the economy, especially on health, environment, and human capital development. Let me equally single out these individuals for their contribution to the education in their respective communities. Number one, Major General Ibrahim S. Ali, who is the post commander MINJTF, who single-handedly renovated the entire government girls secondary school Kundila to its present and viable state. Let me also recognize the contribution of Alhaji Mudassir, the MD and chairman of Muda Tex Nigeria Limited, who also single-handedly renovated the entire Yelwa primary and secondary schools in his community. Last but not the least, Major General A.G. Awal, who also renovated the entire Fage primary school. Let me say that our doors are wide open to other philanthropists to come forward and assist in this various task of rejuvenating the educational sector of our economy. Finally, I'm saying finally, because I would like to seize this opportunity to most humbly, most respectably, on behalf of myself, on behalf of the good people of Kano State, to thank our leader, His Excellency Senator Rabi'u Musa Kwankwaso. We are all aware, Senator His Excellency Rabi'u Musa Kwankwaso led the foundation of all our achievements and successes, and whose blueprint for modern Kano we have copied, we are executing vigorously in continuity as one family. Let me pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to reward him abundantly, guide him and protect him and all those who supported him. Once more, we thank all of you, the good people of Kano State, for the understanding and the cooperation you have been extending to the present administration. And let me say by the grace of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the present administration will not fail. We will continue to do whatever it takes to ensure that we give you all the promises we made in as a dividend of democracy in the state. Once more, thank you very much. Wish you Allah's guidance and journey masses back to our respective destinations. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala.
Abba,